Hello, and welcome to a delicious episode of the DJ Podcast with your host with a standard palate, Dominic. And yeah, you all might be wondering, why out of all topics has this one been picked? Well, there has been a video that I watched around a year ago, and I just rewatched not too long ago for some reason, and it got me thinking about taste. As we already know, we have like taste buds and we can taste things. I know this is like something we all know, but the video I watched showed a concept of tasting certain foods and drinks just by putting your tongue on a screen. So imagine watching Willy Wonka and you see the delicious chocolate and you want to taste it? Well, there's this gadget with 5 little gels that you can lick and it could apparently replicate the taste of it from like a chocolate bar. But it sounds like a really cool concept. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, that kind of sounds like a form of smell-o-vision in a way. Just instead of smells, it's licking an unsanitary screen. Just imagining licking a screen on a movie theater, especially after even during the big C, big old
Yeah,
Corona.
yeah. Sounds pretty much what it is like, but concept is really cool, although it's only a matter of time until like hit like the mainstream market. I do agree it's somewhat like I remember hearing about smell-o-vision, but I never really looked into it. But what may seem like a cool idea is someday in the future we'll have like smartphones with that kind of technology.
Oh yeah, there's still something concerning though about them being on the phone screen, personally, at least. However, that technological advancement could be a cool one, so that's the aspect I'll focus on. I just can't stop thinking about the places I've rested my phone. Perhaps if there was a disposable film that did it, but then that goes into the waste problem too, and just how how wasteful that would be, just replacing a film every single time. But maybe it's worth it because maybe it's a cheap thing. I don't know, but I'll still focus on the taste technology.
Oh, hey, I mean, like biodegradable, like disposable films, but it's only a matter of time for that. And another thing that been thinking about, like, okay, if our phone has a screen protector on it, whether it's like film or glass, how could that affect like tasting it? Also, a good point was made too that you mentioned, like if someone wants to keep their screen, but also I think if somebody wants to keep their screen clean, they should try to keep it resting on the back of the phone. But
And then a bird swarms it. They had a bad set of fish earlier. Then the bird squirts on your screen. That's why I suggest there should be a film that does the taste application. I, as well as I'm sure many people, rest my phone in dusty, dirty, weird places. I won't elaborate. I'm surprised I haven't been sick based on where I left my device. Anyway, all of this technology talk makes me remember about molecular gastronomy and how fascinating a food can be when it's reimagined based on rearranging its components on a molecular level. I know cooking is already a science, but molecular gastronomy takes that science and multiplies it by a factor of 10. It's honestly fascinating.
yeah, it really does sound pretty fascinating. But I think maybe like in our future episodes we can get into depth about that. I don't remember hearing much, but I think that would be something you could talk more about since you know more about it. Another possibility I could probably see is that taste gel being mass produced and having it like connect through Bluetooth from your phone, and then typing almost if not all any kind of food, whether it's wings, burgers, fries, even healthy like vegetables. That would be really cool to see being released, but
Just typing out celery.
just celery
Yum.
with peanut
Celery
butter.
just like it just tastes like freaking water, man.
Yeah. Oh, I love
I
celery.
mean, like, uh, that's a weird thing too. Like, if you type out like celery, how
With
would it
peanut butter.
differ? How would it differ from different sites? Because, like, I'm sure if you're looking, maybe if you're on the Google version of this taste science, maybe celery to them is, the peanut butter the Anton log that you were talking about. But
Mm.
perhaps if you used the Microsoft version, maybe that will just be, oh, just the natural, just it tastes like green water. That's basically
Green
what
water.
celery tastes like, right? But
Yeah, I've had
it
it plenty of times.
it is I hate to say fascinating, but I mean there's no real other word that comes to mind. But that sort of thing where it's like you already have a difference of taste in Coca-Cola or Pepsi, right? To me, it's not that big of a difference. Like I could still drink both of them, and
Mm.
I probably won't be able to tell a difference. But on an ingredients list, down to the molecule, it is technically different. It is a different set of ingredients, and I'm sure the process might even be different too. So that maybe something similar where it's like these gels are made by different companies and it's
Mhm.
not monopolized by a certain
It's
specific individual.
no, it's not like it's patented by that company. Like anyone can probably make it. Like it's like if that's what you're talking about.
Oh, you're getting to a. I might be wrong here, but are you getting to a point of like chew tube or something like that where it's like anyone can code their specific taste, right? Like
No.
if I sent over a recipe in the gel making or whatever, if I specifically set, okay, 5 salt components, 6 sweet components, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
No,
specifically coded it, maybe it's like
no.
I could send a recipe to you with the specific taste.
I guess not what I was thinking about, but I guess so.
Ah, what
I
were
was
you thinking of?
when you mentioned like okay, like being different companies when you were talking about that, I was thinking I was like okay, like you know how this might be a bit off topic, but like I know Sony patents a lot of things that a lot of companies can't, like their specific memory formats. I know this is a bit off topic, but I don't know if you get the point.
Oh, it's certainly fine. You could be off topic all you want. I mean, we only have like a guideline. That's what we're looking at. You feel free to like dive into something else. It makes it a little bit less planned and more natural, right? It just because these tangents, these are actual conversations where it's like I might have put like a mental gap right here saying, "Oh, I might want to talk more about this, but I didn't write it down in the script." So
Mm-hmm.
it I've been kind of doing the same thing too. So
Mm-hmm. So it reminds. So I don't know if this technology is gonna be licensed to like any company to make, not just like one company.
yeah, that's interesting. Like because at the start of a lot of other different technological advancements, like I'm trying to think of one, but honestly, every advancement really starts out this way if you think to nitty gritty about it. But like there is Alexander Graham Bell, right? Like the first phone. I think it was like a first landline sort of deal,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't in the 1800s, so I don't exactly know the full story. There are some some legends that say he's not the real inventor and stuff like that, but I'm not going to get into that. The way that I know it is he is the inventor of the phone. And sure, he could be the father of it, but now it's like we're at a point where it's like
Anyone can make it.
there are Apple, there are Samsung, and there are definitely more companies out there doing the same exact thing, but it started in one position. So I'm kind of thinking with that taste technology, it might be something where it's like this guy invents it in his garage, right?
Mm-hmm.
This random guy out of nowhere, it is just one person who knows this technology. Then for 10 years he's labeled as like a quack because it's like you're expecting me to lick your screen sort of deal, right? Like then it's like just trust me, do it. And
Look at
then
the
that
screen. I didn't poison it or anything. Just
Yeah, yeah, like wh- usually whenever a random guy goes up to you on the street asking you to lick their phone, it's usually for some other reason. But
yeah.
but in this case, one guy just decides, "Hey, I'll trust you. I'll lick your phone." And it's like, how do they know they didn't just, I don't know, squeeze a lemon on top of their phone? And it's like, here, it tastes like lemon. Well, of course it did. You put lemon on your screen. Don't put lemon on your screen. I think it's bad, but you get the point, right?
Mhm.
Like, how do they know they didn't just coat it in like an essence?
Mhm.
But if that person, that was just one person, convinces the other person, hey, that's two, and two is obviously two times as high than one. So
Mm.
yeah, tangent aside, I did have an idea that we could possibly do that potentially can be done with guests and even listeners. Would you like to hear this one out?
Yeah, I'm a little curious as to what you were thinking about. Let's hear it.
Oh yeah. So my idea is doing what the old lady groups do. You know, where well, not the book swap people. I'm talking about the recipe swap people, right? Um, those old ladies, they have a little recipe trade between everyone involved. And within our best abilities, I think we could replicate dishes that the other person or people send. For example, I could send you my best buttered toast recipe, and then you could send me, your best canned ravioli recipe, something like that, right? But obviously with more effort, not just toast and canned stuff. But within our best abilities, we could replicate dishes that the other person or people sent. This is our first segment of taste trades. So, I have sent you a screenshot of a recipe that I believe it's very simple, just to start off with. So, without further ado, we're going to stop the recording and pick up after we have made, eaten, and cleaned up our meals. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, see you later.
See ya. And we're back to taste trades.
All right, Dominic. Now, I believe earlier you sent me a little thing called Street Kill Tacos. Now, how'd you come up with this one?
I don't know. I was like, I don't know. We got like a street taco kit from Costco, and like, what can I do to add my touch to it? Let me just. All I did was just add this like really hot salsa I have, and it kind of changed it.
You're saying you just went to a store and you just decided you would spice things up, so to speak, right?
But hey, it makes a good snack though, too. Not just like a dinner piece.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So it's basically the same sort of thing that I've had plenty of times before. I mean, what American household doesn't have their own taco sort of thing? Whether it's buying everything from the grocery store, like a certain Keith Habersberger, and the Lou Burger. That
Mm-hmm.
band, that comedy band, has a white person taco night. That song, whatever. Going on a tangent and a diversion, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what American household doesn't have their taco night, right? So
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
it is very, very similar to, an experience that I've had before here. The only difference being in your recipe. I did have a little bit of a struggle following what you were meaning, mostly because you didn't measure anything out for me.
I don't know. I didn't have any specific measurements in place. I just like, okay, let me just put this much on, like maybe like a pinch of it, just a pinch of like lettuce, and also just like one spoonful. That's I never specified that, but
You didn't specify that one, so it did lead me to creating three different, well, technically three different sizes, I guess you could call it. I mean, two of them, I guess, could be technically considered the same size, but they're different. So the way that I did it was I sauteed the chicken like you said it was, like you said to do. I believe we could even put on screen maybe the recipe that you have, just so then potential listeners slash viewers, if you're on our YouTube,
Uh-huh.
you could follow along to see how everything happened. So anyway, what I ended up doing, and I'm just paraphrasing it just because I want to. What I ended up doing was basically sautéing the chicken like normal, like you said, and I have this taco seasoning that comes in like one of those big spice containers you buy
Oh,
at the store, right?
one
I
of those like pre-made containers.
Yeah, I did one of those big spice containers, sautéing that, and I don't know if you do this or not. I just kind of added this as a little extra flavor. I also cut up a little bit of tomato and made sure to put some lettuce on it. But what I did, since you didn't exactly specify, was I had some soft flour tortillas. Those
Mm-hmm.
some like medium to small, like small to medium sizes. I would say maybe 5 to 6 inches
Mm-hmm.
in diameter. Nothing big, but nothing miniature either, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some flour ones. I rolled that in that, and I had that as pretty. But like you did say in your recipe, street kill tacos is
I mean,
I would
also.
about the sauces that I'm putting inside of it. So my first my first one that I had was strictly just nothing. I didn't put sauce on it. I just did the chicken and the seasoning and the tomato and lettuce.
All
Then,
right.
since that was the last of that small size, I,
Mm-hmm.
I would think, hey, why don't I just put it in a hard shell? Because I have some leftover hard shells, right?
Yep.
So do exactly that, but this time I put a little smear of, I don't remember what the sauce was called, but we got it at a trip down to Florida like a year or two ago, my family and I, right? So
I think I remember you telling me you were on a trip.
yeah. It was a year ago one. It wasn't the recent Hawaiian one.
Mm-hmm.
We go on a lot of trips. Fortunate about that one because
Mm-hmm.
pick up different ingredients along the way.
Yeah, like you also gotta make sure like if it's like perishable, then yeah, I would not travel with it. But
Oh yeah, I mean like stuff like uh stuff like sauces, they usually
mm-hmm.
go bad until like you open it, right? It's like it 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 lasts on the shelf forever, but
Mm-hmm.
when you open it, it lasts for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And then that will go bad. So I did that one with the hard shell. So I did end up putting that in the hard shell, and that's why earlier I said that technically it's two, but three. I mean, like, because they were both like the same tortilla size. It's just, if it's hard, I guess it's a different thing. So that counts as three different types. Uh,
Yep.
So I have that small to medium flour one, and that small to medium hard shell one, which is already hard.
Mm-hmm.
Then I decided,
Man,
why don't I just wrap up the rest of this whole thing with a big old flour one,
awesome. That's cool. And
big old one, just
hey,
Chipotle style, just smack them on the
you didn't like
table,
use.
roll them up. I almost felt like taking out the tin foil just to wrap it up and actually make it like a Chipotle one. But with that one, I actually ended up with one of the sauces that my dad took up. So I ended up having one without anything, just for a basis,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other two with progressing Scoville unit flavors. Let's just say that.
Oh,
Oh,
how, how did you handle that?
let's just say I was able to handle the one that I picked out pretty well because with any good sauce, you're able to kind of taste test it ahead of time.
Yep.
The thing is, I didn't taste test the one that my dad picked out on that trip So I had to maybe do a little bit of recovery with that.
Mm-hmm.
I will not I will not lie about that one. The
Mm-hmm.
third one, which was the biggest one, I might have been overzealous with how much I put on that thing. But
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, I mainly went off of how I've done chicken and actually beef tacos too before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a similar process. I mainly just went off of how it felt, sort of trying to look at your recipe, but I wasn't getting, 1 tablespoon of
I
this,
think it was however you wanted it to be, really, more than the specific measurement.
which I kind of regret now doing my recipe to you because I was meticulous. I did the 1 cup this. You will need large pan. You will need all of that, all of that. So,
Well, I mean, I was kind of based on like how whatever your preference was, but
oh yeah, yours was definitely more on the whoever's making it, whoever's eating it sort of
mm-hmm.
opinion, right? You weren't thinking, oh, this is the way to do it. It is a set thing. You
Also
just
like,
gave me basically creative control.
and also it's like, plus I did consider, hey, if anyone's too sensitive to hot foods, then you don't have to like go like my level of spice, but like as long as it's medium instead of long, it has to be at least medium level. Like
Right?
it's
At least 2 of the 3 of mine were at the very least medium. So I do like that little disclaimer that you had on yours. So
I mean, if you do want me
as
to, if you do want me to show you what I use, I could just send you what sauce I used, just so you know.
yeah, hey, maybe we can find it on Amazon. Link it in the description below.
Description below. Oh, we're not sponsored, but hey, if you want to buy this product, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Maybe a picture will be on screen. Maybe not. Who knows? Just depends.
Eh,
Speaking of the differences and whatnot, how did you make my creation? Did you like my creation?
I think it was pretty good.
It's a pretty simple one, right?
Pretty simple. I had to like defrost all the beef I had and cook, make sure everything's now pink and everything.
Right, yeah.
The only thing, the only things I did change since I didn't have them. I didn't really have stewed tomatoes, so we just used diced.
Does this? Yeah, yeah. It does work. It works as a worthy substitute.
And
But
yeah, and the only
oh,
noodles I was able to we had to use were rotini since we didn't have um the elbow ones that you were talking about, so we used rotini noodles.
and that's actually one of the good things about that. We typically use the elbow pasta, just because that's what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
So chances are, if we're getting elbows, it's usually going to be for this, but sometimes we use it for other things. The pasta choices, usually, as long as it isn't a long noodle like spaghetti or
Yeah.
Alfredo or fettuccine, right? Um, as long as it's not something like that, it
Mm-hmm.
typically would get the job done. You could use penne, you could use elbows, you can do.
Anything that's not like not anything that's not like spaghetti or like any kind of
Yeah,
long
nothing
noodle.
long. I mean, you can use long, but
But
part of it
no.
is being able to get everything on 1 spoon or fork or whatever you're using, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any complications with making any of it?
I guess. Oh yeah, when we were cooking the beef, like yeah, there was like so much fat coming out of it, leaching out. So I had to we had to like tilt the pan like whatever fat that we did, I had to leach out. We had to like soak it with a paper towel. So that was kind of a fun thing to do.
Oh, your family's a paper toweler, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yours also, yeah.
so yeah, whenever it comes to leaching off the fat, right? What we
Mm-hmm.
usually do is we usually kind of, after we emptied out the can of stewed tomatoes, or in your case, diced, uh, what we would do is we'd, after, just end up putting the fat of that into the can that's now empty, right?
Mm-hmm.
But usually we just do that. What I do is then I'll take that and put it in the freezer so that it hardens up quicker, because fat, it's not just a liquid. Once it
Yeah. Then it
cools,
once it. Yep. And then it's
once it
like a big solid,
cools, it goops up. Yeah,
and it just becomes this white solid, right? Like you.
white solid, right? My college nickname. I didn't
Mm,
go to college.
ah. Neither did I.
That's pretty much I think both
Here's
of our meals actually, but both of our recipes, I think, can be considered like easy college foods.
yeah. I would say so. If you're not like a big cook, but you hey, this is easy to prepare. Unless you sign up
Right.
to Hello Fresh, like this is what you have.
Not sponsored by HelloFresh.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
Not
yeah.
sponsored by the way, kids.
We're not sponsored by anything except for our imaginations
Yeah.
and closed captionings brought to you, but in part
By viewers like you.
by listeners and viewers like you, by
Yep.
clicking on the closed captioning thing that YouTube automatically does
Yep.
sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's a fun fact. Here since we're Italian, we call chop suey, we call it goulash.
Yeah, that's actually something that I've even heard here. Because this one, I don't know about street kill tacos. Actually, we can move on back to
The street
street
kill.
kill. Just to say, um, is this anything to do with like a family recipe for you, or
This was just
is,
something I thought up on the spot when I like okay. I just like okay, I looked at it, I was like, maybe I can add my own like sauce to it. I was like, okay, let me just put a spoonful of this crazy ass hot salsa. And oh, I thought of a pretty cool name for it. I was like, street kill tacos, awesome.
okay? So your basic attempt, your recipe, so to speak, is literally just Old El Paso plus other sauce equals
Yeah.
anything.
Build El Paso Deville. I
Right.
just
So
I just sent you the specific sauce I used.
Pepper Palace, Death by Salsa.
Yeah.
I'll click on that afterwards. I'll, maybe even link this one down below. Who knows? Um, Also, just as a listener's note or a viewer's note, whoever's listening or viewing this experience, this is something to add. Since this is part two, we're not exactly looking at a script. We're doing a little bit more improvised. And just in case that wasn't obvious, um, I might have even been a little bit too nervous. That's why I'm kind of saying things louder and
And
faster.
I don't know, also like our voice is very monotone, so I'm just thinking of stuff.
Oh yeah. There's obviously going to be mumbling and muttering, but what I want to ask the one or two, heck, if there are any more of you, hello. First
Yeah.
off, comment below. But I would like some notes from you. Maybe you like the improvised sections a little bit more. Maybe you like the kind of guideline lists that we've done before, like if we ruled a kingdom, we kind of had little prompts ahead of time, like a presentation that you would have done in high school, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
So, viewers and listeners, just please tell us if you're there. If you're there, just tell us what your preference is, because maybe maybe what you guys want is something that we might want to stray. Yeah,
Like,
maybe what you guys want is something that we want to. So, but
yeah.
tangent aside, my recipe, the one that I sent you, is one that has been kind of passed down for a little bit of generations for us. I believe it did start with like my great grandmother, I think, on my dad's side. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
one of the great grandmothers, because you know how family trees work.
Yep.
So,
Definitely. Ancestry.com. I'm not sponsored.
another shameless plug. We might have to bleep those out. But yeah, one of my great grandparents, I believe, believe they're French, but like over there, kind of in that European area before coming to America,
Mm-hmm.
and they were, I think, a the part of one of those recessions, and where everything was kind of scarce. So take everything that you can get, and maybe you can make a masterpiece out of it, or at least something that's passable. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where that one came from, and it's kind of been passed down. Uh, the only reason why my dad knows it is because of my grandmother, his mother. Um, yeah, so it's kind of near and dear to this family, even though I'm pretty sure other people have made this type of thing before. It's definitely not unique, but it's one of those where it's like I could pinpoint this is one of our family's at least go to recipes, right? So it does have emotional significance attached to it. So yeah, no family attachment to you, right? Yours was just straight
Well,
Joe tacos that
yeah,
you
so it's like one of those college type meals, like, oh, I don't really have much. So let me just, yeah, I could try to make a masterpiece out of whatever I have.
and something that I just actually thought up right now
Yeah.
is, and this is just a workshop, right? I didn't plan this out or whatever, but what if what if we took Street Kill and American Chop Suey and just combined them?
Like, well, you just like put them in a food processor, literally, or just, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I wasn't thinking literally. I was thinking
I
just
was joking.
I was just thinking like, okay, we get like a burrito shell, we put some chop suey in it, we put
Yeah.
some taco meat in it, and we sauce it up, and we roll it. Now
And just like,
that's college.
there you go, and just put like whatever sauce and toss it like you would with a chicken wing, and here you go. Here's some chop suey taco burrito.
So some choco suey,
Chop suey.
chop suey.
Yeah. Well.
That's a little spitball. But another idea that I actually had a little bit was possibly making a recipe book
Mm.
based off of potentially these two and further iterations of no
Or how
taste
about
trades.
I have an idea too. So like yeah, like you had this chop suey burrito. How about like with the chop suey? I could just it's like a mine would be like a coleslaw, but not. It's just lettuce and then just the salsa. If you wanted to make swap it like that, I just thought of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. But in your opinion, though, I'm not talking to the viewers this time. I'm talking to you, Dom. Uh,
Yeah.
what what do you feel about this little experiment that we did? Um,
Hey. I guess that expands my palate a little bit. I'm mostly a meat and potatoes guy, so I guess it's nice to try different things.
Oh yeah, I definitely. I mean, our family already does like I said before, we already had like a family taco night where it was like from box kits, right? That's nothing new, exactly. But in terms of the experience, I kind of did enjoy it as well because it's like I can't exactly put my tongue on it, but it almost feels like just a great experience. Just I think I understand why those old ladies do it.
Mm-hmm. So another thing to say, like, okay, for someone who doesn't really cook a lot, okay, this is perfect.
Oh
But
yeah, I actually whenever I thought of the taste trade idea, taste trade mark no okay the whenever I originally thought of this idea, my intention was to start small, and if we latched onto the idea, great, we could maybe further it. But if we ended up thinking, hey, it was a little bit too much effort, we just stop it at this one. So it looks like both of us are at least decently acceptable of this idea. So maybe this is a weekly thing, or well, not weekly because we
it's
don't
like
release
every
these episodes, but
yeah, like every once
maybe
in a while.
maybe every other episode or every other 3 episodes, something we could work it out in
Mm-hmm.
the private time. We could always just text back and forth, say, "Hey, this episode's feeling a little short. Let's let's add taste trade number 2 over here."
This wow, this all this talk is making me hungry. Let's take our culinary skills from high school and make a little meal.
Right, yeah. So I think, like I said earlier, I think the two of us are relatively, relatively accepting of this idea. So, would you be up to doing a taste trade number 2 in the future? Probably not next one, but
Probably, yeah. Like at some point, I'd like to do another one.
yeah, and we could even branch off into desserts and breakfasts and other things. Doesn't exactly have to be just a dinner thing. We just kind of
Just be or
decide
hey,
upon dinner.
yeah, or could just even be breakfast food.
It can be a breakfast food. It could be a snack. It could be maybe it could even be themed with like specific things where it's like, okay, maybe we
The
both watch an episode of Chopped, and we both have to make something out of the basket that the contestants get.
mm-hmm.
Maybe something like that, or it's like, oh, next time we're gonna do something that heavily relies on pumpkin, right? Maybe you think pumpkin pie, and I might think pumpkin stew.
Yeah.
Who
Oh,
knows?
coming up next. What carnival I don't know, like carnival food do you like? Blah 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 blah. I don't know.
Right? We could, and then in that episode, we might be able to actually do something where it's like, oh, I just deep fried this stick of butter.
Oh, deep fried pickles.
Right. We get there whenever we get there, but at
So
least as of now, it's not going to be a segment that recurs every single episode.
well, it's like, oh, every now and then we'll just hey, decide to do cook something up. Yeah, why not?
But yeah, I feel like it will be a good every now and then one. And
I was like,
shoot,
okay, if we did it every episode, yeah, it'll kind of get boring after a while.
it might get stale, but at the same time,
No pun intended.
right, stale. It might get stale, but at the same time, it might be one of those things where it's like, since it's always a different type of food, maybe it just might be fresh enough where it's like, oh, sure. let's listen to this. Let's listen to this one and be excited about it. And since this is the improvisation section, I also have another idea where it's like, if we branch off into actual video segments, what if we just remade these recipes, but on video format?
Mm.
Like maybe as a live stream, or maybe as just a video segment, like step by step. Here's how you do it, or maybe do one of those Google Translate ruins the recipe sort of thing. I've seen that one popping off every
Like
now and then, but
more I
yeah,
thought like, oh, like not like if I wasn't doing the live stream, what would I do? Just like record myself making it and then sending it.
yeah. I've seen have you seen the YouTuber You Suck at Cooking?
No, I don't think so. But I've seen how to basic stuff, but not that.
That's probably not what we're gonna do. At least until we have a budget. Maybe then we can break some eggs. But
Maybe.
at least not how to basic yet. But
Maybe.
what You Suck at Cooking does is he basically he makes recipes. He shows how to do it, and in it he's a little bit funny, right? And
Mhm.
he'll instead of saying preheat the oven to 400, he'll say stuff like preheat the undo on 400.
That. I
And
see.
then sometimes it's like he'll do like just short tutorials of like maybe how to cut a pomegranate, or I'm just making that up, but like he'll do like tutorials on different ways you can cook potatoes, and some of it's like really joking ones where it's like he'll go maybe to a couch and he'll find the couch potato, right? Like
I see.
little cheesy things mixed up inside of the actual educational content. Is just he'll kind of scatter some jokes and sillies every now and then. But I think something like You Suck at Cooking could probably be transferred, at least in editing or comedic style, could be kind of transferred to what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some amalgamation of You Suck at Cooking and How to Basic. Now that I think of it, some amalgamation. We get there when we get there. We don't even know if we're going to do a video segment. We don't even know if we're going to be continuing taste trades for
Well,
a long, long time. But
the only thing we could do now is play it by ear and see how it goes, and if it succeeds, then we can keep doing it.
exactly.
Also,
So,
there's like a YouTube channel that I've watched that talks about cooking on a budget, or he reviews like these like dollar store like frozen foods.
are you talking about Joshua Wiseman?
Nope,
Different
this
one.
this channel is called The Wolf Pit.
Wolf, but I've not heard of that one. I'll look that one up. I
Yeah,
guess
see,
plug for the Wolf Pit now.
those are just
Uh,
other options.
oh yeah, Joshua Wiseman. Now that I actually brought him up, he's kind of famous for making Domino's pizza but better, and then
Mm-hmm.
making you know Wendy's burger meal but better. Some of it's like
It's
he'll make.
the better Big Mac.
I mean, I'm sure he's even done that. Like it, he even did something with Matt Stoney that where it's like who can do it quicker. Either can I make it quicker than he could eat it, or can he eat it quicker than I can make it, sort of deal. But that's going way, 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 way off tangent.
Yeah. Well, we're just thinking of some ideas. That's at the end of the day.
This has been a world of taste. In fact, this has been the Taste Trade segment of A World of Taste, brought to you by DJ Studios.
If you'd like to see this happen more, just let us know in the comments.
If you exist.
Yeah. All right. Looks like this is the end of the podcast.
See you later, alligators.
Peace out.